the executive chairman, the chairman of NDDC, the executive director, finance and admin, the executive director, corporate services. Let me, on behalf of the executive director project, apologize for his absence because he's in the meeting right now where we have partnership with the NLNG. So that meeting is holding right now in Port Harcourt in NLNG office. That is why he's not here. Let me also specially recognize all the state representatives that are here of the NDDC and the zonal reps that are here too, who form the board of the Niger Delta Development Commission. Directors of the NDDC, who are foot soldiers that have worked hard for so many years. Most of them have been working tirelessly before we resume. They are the institutional memory of NDDC. They are the ones that have guided us and put us through. They are our support and our strength. I want to specially recognize you people for your hard work and commitment. Staff of the NDDC that are here, the media, for whom we're here because we need to also keep you abreast with what we are doing in the NDDC. Today, let me stand here to pay special tribute for those stakeholders, leaders, fathers of this region, in whom their vision, their struggle, and their sweat brought about the NDDC that we're enjoying today. On this note, I want to recognize all of you and welcome all of you to this World Press Conference. NDDC is 25 years old. Specifically on the 12th of July, which is going to be on Saturday, it will be 25 years since NDDC was formed. NDDC was an offshoot of the then OMPADEC, Oil Mineral Producing Areas Development Commission. In 2000, NDDC was passed as an act of parliament because the then president did not assent to the bill. So the parliament took it upon themselves to pass this act. So NDDC is very, very special because NDDC is an act that belongs to the people. So, and because it belongs to the people, it was actually in response to the crisis in the Niger Delta as at then, due to the agitations of our people, and to ensure that there was peace in Niger Delta in order to bridge the developmental gap. So as at then, the needs assessment of what the needs of the people of NDDC as at then mattered to the then management and board of NDDC. And I can assure you that they responded accordingly. And in responding accordingly, what were the demands of the people then? The people needed roads, they needed water, they needed good schools, they needed hospitals, and they needed light. So the people, as at then, due to these demands, try to reach out to the localities by ensuring that in communities there were concrete roads for the people to walk on. Schools were built in these communities, jetties were built, hospitals were built, electricity was provided, and so many, water was given to the people. These things were given to communities in rural areas, not basically the urban settlements, because then NDDC did not focus on the urban areas. And in settling in these rural communities, I can assure you that today, as we speak, most of the government presence you see in rural communities in the Niger Delta are NDDC projects. That is to say, NDDC have come a long way, and NDDC have actually reached out to the people. But as we proceed, people started expecting more. And in expectation of more, people wanted to see roads linking communities, linking states. We started graduating to the level of looking at regional projects that will link 2 states, 3 states, and the rest of them. So NDDC started working towards that. Haven't reached out to the local populace, because most of those who were actually behind the agitation were not people that lived in the urban areas. They were people that lived in the local communities. Haven't attended to these local communities, NDDC started looking at bigger projects that will link communities, that will link states, and these bigger projects, NDDC conceived a few. And most of these projects that were conceived, most of them were started, a lot of them were not finished. However, when people talk about most of these projects that were not finished, it is because people should ask questions. It is not because those who conceived these projects never meant to finish them. But one of the major challenges NDDC has had in the past has been the high turnover of management and board. That from our records, is possibly just one board, the first board that completed its tenure. But since then, no board has ever completed a tenure. Some spend 1 year, some spend 2 years, some even less. Like, as at between 2015 to 2023, I was the 9th chief executive of NDDC. That gives you an idea of how NDDC have really suffered high turnover of management, of which if that happens, many organizations, one person comes and starts something new, and because most times they're politicians, they also want to shine. They start something new, and new person comes, abandon that, starts his own. But we also want to thank Mr. President for deeming it necessary, believing in us, to say, let us go and ensure that we make that difference. Assuring us of completing our term, but ensuring that we must give account of our full tenure. Mr. President has shown so much love to the people of the Niger Delta. On behalf of the board and management, we want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to serve our people, guiding us rightly, using us to show love to the people of the Niger Delta. It is on record that immediately Mr. President emerged as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, NDDC was one of the first board that the president constituted. That is to tell you how Mr. President takes Niger Delta seriously and how he loves the people of the Niger Delta. And after constituting the NDDC board, Mr. President did not only constitute the board and just allow us to go and work. Mr. President engaged us and directed us on what to do. Mr. President directed the board and management of NDDC through the minister then to ensure that we complete all abandoned projects. 2, to ensure that we sign a performance bond. We signed a performance bond during our retreat in Ikotekbene to ensure that, yes, there is an agreement between we, the board and management, and the president. Under that guidance, we decided to go to work. What did we do first? Haven't gotten the directives from Mr. President on what we need to do in spreading the renewed hope agenda in the Niger Delta. We decided to engage in stakeholders engagement. We met with chiefs, traditional rulers, leaders of the region. We met with youths, we met with women, trying to pick their brains and getting their thoughts on what they think we should do as a new board and management that will really befit what the Niger Delta people deserve. Haven't gotten their ideas, we also decided to put all these together to form our work plan. The NDDC, we now decided to X-ray. Where was NDDC before we came in, and where would we want NDDC to go to? We decided to come up with the rewind to rebut policy. The rewind to rebut policy we came up with was to ensure that we go back to where NDDC started from. Look at the mistakes of the past, the challenges of the past. Look at possible areas where we can also improve on the success of the past and correct those mistakes. We decided to engage previous management, especially the MDs and chairmen of board, to get that direction. We did that successfully. Haven't gone through the rewind to rebut, where we're able to see before us the challenges before us and also the prospects. We decided to now come up with a policy of transiting from transaction to transformation. When we say transiting from transaction to transformation, this is actually built on the basis of the Renewed Hope agenda. Because we believe for NDDC to progress faster, we needed a lot more of transparency. And transparency is what brings about probity and accountability. We looked at those areas where we had failed. We had to look at our contracting process, our procurement process. First thing first, that is one area where people had accused NDDC in the past. We decided to digitalize our procurement process by ensuring that nobody can fake our award letter. Today, if you have the NDDC award letter, you snap the barcode, you know that yes, nobody can come back to you to say, "I gave me fake award." We decided to sanitize every process that was actually giving NDDC a bad name, starting from procurement. We digitalized that. We also decided that on assumption of office, on our very first management meeting, we realized that we had over 50 persons in the management room. And when you look at the act, the NDDC Act recognized specific directorates. So when you add those 11 directorates, then the youth and women and procurement, which is by law recognized, we now come up with 13. We decided to say we have to maintain those 13, which are the ones that are recognized by law, and now made every directorate that was created before we came to go under the directorates where they were working under. That is to tell you how administration in NDDC was battered. We felt we needed to reorganize and restructure. So we now restructured that, sanitized that, and we did not just only leave it at that level. Having done that, we decided to also engage KPMG to design our governance advisory policy. Because we believe the life of every organization like NDDC, if there is no corporate governance policy guiding the institution, whatever we do today, those coming in future will come and abuse it again. So we decided to institutionalize most of this policy by getting KPMG to come and at least design our governance advisory policy. That document, as I speak, it is ready. The SOPs are ready. We're waiting to get a date that we are going to launch this document, where we are going to invite all of you again to be part of it, so that you can also have our handbook that will tell you when the MD is doing wrong. when the board is also going above their boundaries. Because for now, NDDC is only being guided by the Act. The Act alone cannot really run an organization. That is why we needed that governance advisory service for us to also deal with the donor agencies and most of the IOCs that are dealing with our partners, so that they can see, compliance, because it's going to bring about compliance in whatever we do. Because NDDC, our future is to move beyond just brick and mortar of building roads. We also want to enlarge our coast by also getting funding from donor agencies and other foreign organizations that will also come to the aid of the Niger Delta. And for you to do that, they must see transparency, they must also see compliance. That is why we're putting all these structures together. So having done that, we also had to look at our staff. The staff of NDDC, at the time we took over, morale was very, very low. We felt there's no way we can move at the pace we wanted to move if the staff are not willing to move with us. And what challenges were they having? The staff of NDDC, most of them, for 4 years, there was no promotion exam, no promotion, their promotion was stagnated. The staff of NDDC, for 4 years, their allowances were not paid, so morale was very, very low. So through the directive of the board and the discussion with management, we came together, and I just want to say, in 1 year, within that 1 year, we paid off all outstanding owed by the NDDC to the staff of NDDC. And as I speak today, we are up to date based on our payment and our commitment to our staff. Once that was done, the staff, they were fired up and ready to work. They became committed, and we also decided to take advantage of their commitment. And in trying to also ensure that we comply with Mr. President's directives, we looked at a few projects that were abandoned that NDDC needed to complete and commission. We looked at some bold projects. First, the Okitipupa electrical project, which that project was to give light to the entire Ondo South. The entire Ondo South was in darkness for 15 years. We started that project. We gave the contractor all the support, and as you know, last year that project was commissioned. Today, the people of Ondo South are enjoying 24 hours power supply. In Mufi, in Edo State, we also completed another injection substation, which was also completed and commissioned. In Akwa Ibom, we also commissioned the Ibuno Bridge linking Ibuno to Eastern Obolo local government in Akwa Ibom State. Then in Ogbuku local government in Bayelsa State, the Ogbuku-Nimbe Road, which links 14 communities between Ogbuku and Nimbe, which is a 27.1 kilometers long road with about 50 culverts and about 7 bridges. The NDDC was able to complete that project as at the place we picked it up, and that project was also commissioned last year. It was a project in partnership between NDDC and SPDC anyway. So we also want to say thank you to SPDC for keeping that their commitment and trust in NDDC, for partnering with us to complete that project for the benefit of the people of the Niger Delta. We haven't completed, after having commissioned all these projects, we're also fired up to also take some more new projects, because we felt we needed to balance between completing old projects and also carrying out new projects. So we also looked at new projects to the people of the Niger Delta. And we tasked ourselves that whatever project we start, let us be sure that we are going to finish those projects. So a few of those projects were the projects that you saw us commissioning this year. This year, we took 10 kilometers of the path of Abraka to Bini Road, which was the first phase. We completed that part. Then we also commissioned a 7.5 kilometer of road in Wangele in Imo State. Then we also went to Ogbuku in Rivers State, another 7.5 kilometer network of roads, which we commissioned. And we commissioned recently, which you saw, the training center in Bielsa, and we also opened our state office. Talking about state offices, before we came in, NDDC had only one state office. The one in Imo State is the one NDDC in Imo State inherited from Ompadek. So there was really no other state office that you can say any state had. But today, as we speak, that of Cross River State, we have acquired and we have commissioned. That of Bayelsa State, people saw some 2 weeks ago. And that of Delta State is ready. We would have commissioned, but they are still test running the elevator. Once the elevator is being test run, we are going to also commission that project. That one is also ready. And that of Akwa Ibom is also coming up very, very fast. So the task we have is to ensure that all the states, all the mandate states must have their own state offices, and NDDC must not rent state offices anymore. All these things I'm telling you are things that have happened within the last 2 years. That does not mean in the last 25 years NDDC have not done much, but I believe what the media here wants to hear from us is what we have done in the last 2 years. Because, you know, we're here for accountability. We felt as part of, you know, the 25 years anniversary, having thanked God, we have to come to also give accounts to the people whom we're serving. Then when we give account, we go to Owerri to also have the Youth and Women Conference, where we also need to hear from them again to know what the next phase of NDDC should be like, getting their own ideas before we go back to Port Harcourt for the larger stakeholders meeting. So that is the trajectory we're taking. So now, you know, another major thing we also, as a team, looked at too, having gone through our needs assessment, we saw that one of the major challenges the Niger Delta had in terms of security was because most of our communities were in darkness. And we looked at the possibility of taking light to most of these communities, and we realized that due to the high level of vandalism, it will be very, very expensive. But first and first, let us see how most of these communities will be illuminated. We came together as a team and came up with the Operation Light Up the Niger Delta, using the solar street lights to ensure that most of our communities are illuminated. And I believe most of you can attest to the fact that the Operation Light Up the Niger Delta scheme has been so successful that it has reduced criminality in our communities. It has also improved commerce in most of our communities, and our communities are safer as it is today. So that is one major success of this administration, while we're also carrying out other projects. When it comes to education, we also believe that digital education for our young children is also very, very important. So we decided to acquire 45,000 of the U-Lesson tablets, which have been distributed to primary and secondary schools across the Niger Delta. These tablets are preloaded with the curriculum of these the schools, and it can be used both online and offline. So for those children who do not have money to access lesson teachers, the tablet becomes their lesson teachers, because what those other children of the bourgeois can afford, they can also have it there too. So it's just to bridge that gap so that we don't create inequality in our society. We have also, in education, also continued with our foreign scholarship scheme, which I think has been very, very successful. Today, the NDDC foreign scholarship scheme stands to be one of the best in the country because of the number of distinctions we've been producing. This is because the process has been very, very transparent. It is not subjected to any political interference. That is why those who get it, they come out to be the best. As I speak to you, last year, when we went to Coventry for the graduation of our foreign scholarship students, I was pleased that they gave us the front row to sit as NDDC, because NDDC turned out the highest number of distinctions, of about 17 distinctions. That is to tell you the level of success record we have from our foreign scholarship program. But because of the high demand of the foreign scholarship, which we are doing just 200, and 200 we know is really, small, but we're also looking at the maths, because each beneficiary is entitled to about $40,000, so it is very, very high. So hence we decided to also expand it by the board graciously approving that this year we should continue, we should start with the local postgraduate scholarship. And local postgraduate scholarship is also, we have just advertised, and I think the advert will be ending sometime towards ending of this month. Then thereafter, they'll start the CBT test before the orals, and through the same process too, which we have credible consultants and lecturers across the region who have done a very, very great job to ensure that they get the best amongst the best. So, having said that on education, we go to health. In health, our free medical mission stands to be one of the best too across the Niger Delta, because just recently we have had thousands and thousands of surgeries on the field. We have attended to too many persons across the 9 states, and most of our people are very, very much satisfied with the process of which we take. Last year in some of the states, after the 7 days of the free medical program, some states demanded for extra time, which we did. And with that pressure, we decided to say, okay, we are going to now do it twice annually, as it against the once annually, which we used to do this. Our partnership on this is also with the Renewed Hope initiative of the First Lady of the country, and I think through her guidance, she has also ensured that NDDC does the right thing when it comes to the area of health of our children, our women, and our fathers. So through her partnership, NDDC is working seriously on that. The free medical health mission for this year, as you are aware, was flagged off by the First Lady herself in Bayelsa State this year, before we now start the state-by-state free medical mission. So the NDDC, within this period, I can assure you, we are working very, very hard to carry out the mandate of the Renewed Hope. For us, most of our achievements this period, we call it dividends of renewed hope. Dividends of renewed hope because we are doing our programs and our activities according to the guidance of the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. And we're very, very careful because Mr. President is very, very interested in what happens in NDDC. And I can attest to the fact that in all our achievements today, we actually give the credit to Mr. President for being the one that has actually stood in that gap to ensure that we do whatever we're doing. So I think Mr. President deserves the applause and commendation from the people of the Niger Delta for being the first president that has really put his eyes on the ball to ensure that NDDC does the right thing. Apart from Mr. President, from the Niger Delta, we're also lucky to have a minister who is also an engineer, and because he's an engineer, he tries to ensure that our projects are of quality. The minister himself also takes it so personal on everything we do. Apart from the minister, we're also fortunate to have the president of the Senate, who is from the region, who ensures that our appropriations are taken by express. So I think he has also done very, very well. He has been a father to us. We also have other stakeholders from the region who have also bothered themselves about what is happening in NDDC and ensuring that we do things the right way and ensure that we don't make mistakes of the past. One of those stakeholders is the former governor of Delta State, James Ibori, who was a governor as at when NDDC was created. So for him, NDDC is personal to him. He has also called us severally to ensure that he gives us that guide. We also have the Minister of the FCT, whom we see as a role model. Because of what he's doing in Abuja, we're also trying to catch up. So we see him as a role model, and he has also once in a while called us to advise us on the approach we should use. So we also have a National Assembly where we have two young people, a gentleman and a young lady as House Committee Chairman, and Senate Committee Chairman, who actually are giving us the best of cooperation, and I can assure you that they've really given us the kind of cooperation that have kept us where we are today. So I keep saying that we cannot also achieve most of these things we're achieving without their support, without them also, coming down to see what they can do for us. So all these people are stakeholders in the Niger Delta. We also talk about the men, the women, the youth who have that faith in us, who believe that let them give us that time to see what we can do. Because if they also try to destabilize us, we'll be distracted. They have also given us that, they have also had that patience and had that confidence in our performance, and that is why they are waiting patiently to see what we can do. We are not perfect as humans. We might have areas of mistakes, but we are very, very open to learning, and it is those lessons we take that also helps in improving our services. So I stand here before you, I await your questions that will also take, which will form part of our discussion, and those areas probably where you have doubt in our operations, I can assure you that we are willing to take all your questions. Thank you.